Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. Today we're live, and joining us with the Pickle Gallery is Ricky from Just Another Day TV. In the studio with me, as always, is my co-host, Will Hubert, and running the keys is Dougie Fresh. So let's get into today's episode. They say truth is stranger than fiction. Well, tonight's lineup proves it. If you thought the news couldn't get any weirder, welcome back to the Rethink Tank Live, where the unbelievable is just another Tuesday night. First up, scientists have literally mind-controlled mice remotely. Yes, that's a real headline, and no, it's not the plot of a bad Marvel spinoff. Then, RFK Jr. says America's broken healthcare system is about to face big changes. But is it reform, revolution, or just another round of empty promises? And finally, we'll be wrapping the episode with Kim Jong Trump. Yes, you heard me right. He's talking about bringing back the Department of War, because nothing says moving forward like reviving a government office from the 1940s. So buckle in. This is the Rethink Tank Live. So our first topic of the day is quite a wild one, and I'm sure it's news to many of you because it was to me, but let's get right into it. It isn't science fiction anymore. It's science fact. This sounds like a plot of a bad Netflix sci-fi show, but nope, it's real life. Scientists have just pulled off one of the world's first cases of remote mind controlling of mice. And no, it didn't involve electrodes sticking out of their heads or tiny mouse VR goggles. They did it with magnets. Here's how it worked. The researchers loaded the mice up with these magnetic nanospheres, basically microscopic iron dust that can respond to magnetic fields. Then they tweaked the mice genetically so that their ion channels in the brain, the little gates that control electrical signals in your neurons, they could interact with those nanospheres. A translation here is flip the magnet one way, boom, part of the brain lights up. Flip it another way, a totally different behavior kicks in. And the result? Wild. They were able to make mice shun food entirely, even when they were hungry. You could literally turn off appetite with the spin of a magnet. Some of these mice got noticeably skinnier compared to the controls. Then they went after social behavior. Normally, mice like to stick to their little mouse friend groups. Not these guys. Under the magnets, they suddenly wanted to spend more time with unfamiliar mice. Basically, brain hacked into becoming social butterflies. Now, here's the kicker. This is the first time scientists have controlled animal behavior remotely without wires. For years, brain experiments have involved sticking electrodes into the skull or wiring animals up like science fair projects. But now, just drop them in a container with a spinning magnet, and you've got yourself a remote-controlled critter? Think about that. On one hand, the potential for medicine is massive. Imagine being able to treat things like obesity, depression, or even social disorders without drugs, just by flipping the right ion channels and on and off. On the other hand, it's mice today, but you could see where this goes. If they can do this to a mouse, how far are we from someone trying it on, say, people? So yeah, we've officially crossed into the magneto-science experiment era. First, it's mice skipping dinner and making new friends. Next thing you know, your boss has you wearing a company-issued wellness headband that suddenly makes you love staff meetings. Exciting? Definitely. Creepy? Even more so. Either way, welcome to the future, where even your free will may not be so free anymore. You excited for the future?
I mean, I love being excited about work in general. So yeah, give me the headband. I could absolutely use it. It is kind of creepy. Like when you I'm thinking of like the idea of like actually like doing these kind of experiments on mice, and it's like the failed experiments that got to the point where like put them in a bowl with a magnet around it, and literally you could flip their brain left to right. And again, like if you think it's like, sure, logistically that makes sense, but it's like how simple they make it sound. Like, oh yeah, it's just literally like a switch, like click, 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 click to the other side.
Well, I do think it is that simple. What's crazy is that you're hijacking a biology that scientists have had their finger on forever, but we have never been able to kind of cross into this sector, right? Tesla, Einstein, great scientists before us have had this understanding of neuroscience and electricity. And we have this neural network that mirrors itself like a computer. And we all remember what a computer was like in the 90s. If you held a magnet up to it, I mean, you just wiped, gone. So we've had an understanding of this effect, but we haven't been able to control it like you were suggesting, a switch left, right. I mean, the fact that we have boiled down such a sophisticated network that almost feels godly to something as binary as on off, social, antisocial, hungry, not hungry. And as I was suggesting, it is interesting that right now it's these neurophenomena like, hunger, not hunger. But wait until it's muscular motions. I can make my legs. Whoa! Now I'm walking to Disneyland, and I didn't even want this. Like at some point,
how'd I end up at Disneyland again?
Oh no!
Oh, my 15th trip this year. Darn.
But clearly that's where this can become applied, and I would be left concerned. But hey, this is just the development of science.
Well, you brought up it getting being a possibility to cure for medicines, but not just literal medicine, like you're taking an Allegra D, actually curing obesity, depression, and stuff like that. At what point does human nature and human biology willingly put themselves up for this experiment to just be you're no longer depressed? We flip that off, and it's again, depression is a real thing, but it's it is something I feel like we as a human experience need to work through, to make us more human. There's something about being in a giant bowl with a magnet that just be you're good. You're great.
Or again, it's not even just a giant bowl.
Just
imagine when the arch of a doorway has magnets and you just walked into this room and you walk into a
have you ever seen Severance?
Cafeteria? No.
That's the idea of Severance. You go into this elevator and it completely shuts off a part of your brain and you're just in work mode. And you have no idea what the outside
you're a whole separate identity almost in Severance. You have your work self and your outside self and completely separated.
And you mentioned a door with a magnet. That's essentially what it is. It's they walk in this elevator and they go down, and once they reach the next level, they completely shut off.
Yep.
So what was a science fiction show, now new development show, is literally our present.
Yeah.
Well, what if, Alex, you kind of mentioned the walking through a door and boom, and then Will brought up the Severance thing. My first thought was, how soon until they try to use this on kids in school? Get them to walk into school
immediately.
Boom,
they already are. What are you talking about?
It's like Adderall, except
I was just
everybody.
About to say, wait, we don't have to dope them up on an ion away from crack.
Yeah,
that's what Adderall and all these are. We're cracking our kids because they won't sit down and stay still. It's I could just magnet wipe their brain.
And that's what I meant when I brought up the depression thing, but it's also the obesity. It's the idea of there's a literal ion switch that they could possibly use to just cure an individual.
Do you know how easy Mrs. Obama's job would have been had she been able to just wipe the kids' brains with a magnet? She wanted to fix their school lunches, and instead of making them worse, she would have most certainly wiped their brain.
Yeah, if all she needed was a light switch and to get us to not have cheeseburgers and milk at 10:30 a.m.
First it's cheeseburgers, then it's your organic dangling hot dog. Before you know it, we're losing everything we love. I need to flip it to Ricky. Ricky, what are your thoughts on this whole ordeal?
If it's for good, some way, I'll love it because
hold up, Ricky,
there's iron in her blood.
Arbiter of good.
Hold on. Let me tell you where I'm going down.
Okay.
Let me tell you where I'm going down. There's a lot of blood diseases and stuff, and iron in her blood. So if this magnetic thing could help with medically, cool. But like to control us is I ain't with no control or like walking into my work building and getting a switch on. And I hope they don't keep this a secret and just install it in buildings at late at night and not telling anyone. So I just want to be on the know of all.
I feel like this technology is all or nothing, similar to pew pews and AI. You either have them
Or you don't.
or you don't.
Yeah.
And yes, it'll be like, but hey, scoliosis, we can magnet it away.
Click.
Click. And then they're like, but also, every time you start thinking about those evil people in the desert over there that own our country, flip, just like that. Did you? Anti what? Not anymore.
You start thinking of it. Flip. Go brown.
Yeah,
Go
that's right.
brown.
Boss BB, boop, go Brown.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And I think honestly the thing that freaks me out the most is like how discreet this could probably be. You know what I mean? Like you said, like walking into a door and you don't know.
Here's how discreet it could be. I'm gonna go out on the limb and say the mice weren't like, whoa, I feel extra positive today, a little extra negative ions on me. It's like, I think they thought it was the status quo. The cage is what today as it was yesterday. Little did they know they're being magnetoed.
The only difference is they didn't look up that day and say the claw.
Go
they're like,
Browns.
this feels weird without the claw. Why does this feel weird?
I don't know why Bob's eating. I'm not hungry at all. Anyway,
The bubonic plague would have been terrifying if this was a thing.
oh my goodness.
You could just flip them on and off like you're sick and get them.
And that was during a time where they were like, it's God. God just actually hates
God
you.
did this.
God
to
hates
us.
you. Can you believe it? I can't believe he hates Miss Susan down the street as much as he did, but he cleared out her and her whole neighborhood. So God's pissed. And you could just use this thing and be like, I think it's God.
It's 3,000 years, no, like 300 years later, people are just like, just screw them with the mice.
Truth be told, it will be the same thing. They'll magnet us and be like, it was Taylor Swift. She told you.
Did you say she's engaged?
That's how quick they'll do it.
That's the magnet. The ring's
That
the
was
magnet.
the magnet. That's how they did it.
You have to have at least one of her 96 album editions to
We tried to do it with J-Lo, but after 7 marriages or engagements, it wasn't working. We have to go to Taylor Swift now.
exactly.
It's too good. It's too good. The Roman Empire is dying. I mean,
But in the balance of its phasing out is this boom of science, and you can't help but get like, this is a grab your popcorn type moment. Like, I can't believe we can do this, and science has come so far. But then also it's like, grab your popcorn, because before long you won't have any of that.
Well, it's like I make the comment jokingly, like, it's the fall of the empire, but it's like at the rise of other empires, it's usually like a sign, like a scientific reason, like booming in science, so.
Cool thing is, there's going to be a whole lot of mind-controlled rats on that wall they're building in Saudi Arabia.
There's going to be, it's going to be that, and the fact that
Like, actually, the thing that brings us our baklava is the rats. The rats, we control them. They.
This is why democracy fell.
Yeah. We are just a step ahead of Kim Jong-un because he still needs people. We're using rats to do the same thing.
I hear that guy doesn't go poop.
It's not that I know he doesn't. You couldn't go 18 holes with 18 hole ones.
He's so good. He's so good.
Divinity.
I've never seen a hole in one on a par 5. It's crazy.
Neither did he. But guess what? The people watching him, his soldiers, they did that day.
Oh, they saw it all.
They saw it big time. Par 5, hole in one. Yes, sir.
I've never seen the guy shoot 100 times for an 18-hole par 1.
One guy did speak up. He no longer exists.
You learn quick.
Exactly. So as far as this science goes, the reason it's such an extreme jump is the fact that even go back to our juvenile understanding of future science, right? Like, we opined of the Terminator and Idiocracy, these futures where technology and science take over, and the snowball of our future. And it's crazy that even this science, always understood it to need cords and this like giant contraption. Think of an Indiana Jones movie, even any of those Marvel movies. Like it takes this giant wired headset. This is just a series of magnets and a specific targeted neurochannel. How long until that's in a blaster?
Well, you want to know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of like those sleeper cells, like we'd always hear about, you know, kind of like that.
The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, like all it takes is like one like phrase or whatever, like one node or ion for it to flip a switch, and it's a completely different individual.
That's
with
got to
completely
be a
different
thing.
behaviors, you know. That's I guess that almost kind of seems like what this is closest to.
Well, and let's take it back to like what Ricky was saying. Okay, this is something to get excited about. This is something that I'm not worried about insofar as it's used for good. It's like, okay, but at the same time, once this science exists, it exists. And we can't deny three-letter agencies spending 100 years doing science on figuring out how to make Manchurian candidates. And I'm trying to think of the project name. There's so many anymore. I can't keep track of them. But the fact that through the Freedom of Information Act, it's been disclosed, they've already mastered this science. Yeah. So that science exists over here. And you built the science. Let's just take Ricky's like bold heart and hope that it was for good. Like some guy was like, this will help with medicine. And it's like, well, guess what? That exists in the same realm as this exists over here. And someone's going to combine the two.
Someone got a little frisky.
Yeah.
Someone had an idea.
And it was a crooks at a Pennsylvania rally. I mean, it's just like, see how these things work? God. It's just one feeds the other. Get all the news there. We're turning the magnet switch today in Mother. Or just take a, WWE pin and just scratch your ear and be like, oh my God, that's down the wrong road. But these things exist. Hey, psyops exist.
That's whoa, yeah, left turn. Bring
it back in. It's a crazy concept. I don't really know anything else to flush out with this beyond the fact that it's insane that this exists. I really don't think any of us anticipated this being a part of our present day, at least until we were well into our 50s, 60s.
Dude, nothing surprises me anymore.
That's
at this point, it's moving so quick now. Ever since AI showed up, it's like,
you know what
I mean?
I was listening to a dialogue on the way home from work today where people were talking about how, you hear this. I'm going to speak for myself. I hear this, but I really never digested how it is a major concern of kids in high school and college right now that like the major prospects for careers in their future will be replaced by AI. And it's like, whoa, take a minute and put yourself in that kid's shoes. How do you prepare for a future where much of what you know is going to become obsolete and you're going to have to invent a purpose?
Isn't that just called life?
No,
everything always
else.
changes.
This is a major step. Like, somebody did raise that point too, where it's like, yeah, but they kept saying comic books were the devil and, cable and radio was going to be the devil. It's like,
that's such an ignorant comment to make back though.
It is. But I think at the same time, if there is anything to take away from that point, like, I don't think it's as weighty as the boomers and such try to make it out to be. But there is a message to take away from it, which is humans are resilient.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever happens, a percentage like cockroaches are going to survive and transcend. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is a scary future. Yes, there's going to be people acting with malicious intent. Yeah. But at the same time, they're going to be at odds with benevolence and people who care for strangers, the masses.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good counter argument. I think I do agree with your point. Like the boomers, like they'd make an argument like, oh, well, like they said rock and roll was the devil. It's like AI literally could do anything. It's literally, and you don't even know what it is. I don't even know what it is.
It doesn't know what it is.
Right. I know what the Rolling Stones are, dude. I can look at them. They're high. They're fine. This is different, but it's like, yeah, no, like there's so much, like, it's like what? It's like that phrase, it's like what? Death, taxes, and health insurance are like the three like absolutes in life. It's like those things are never going away. And it's like, well, now with AI, those might go away too.
Right. No, you're right. Hey, Ricky, as we close out the episode, you got any wrapping thoughts for us? With this segment. So we're done. See you guys.
Nobody use that shit against me. No pew pew magnets try to control me. Imagine an angry housewife try to do this to her husband.
Yeah, Ricky does raise a great point as we close out the whole topic, which is all we've considered is this science in the hands of Big Brother, whether it be, corporations or the government. But he's like, what if, just a wife does it to make the husband go to church or, go to
That sounds like
in-laws.
Big Brother. That sounds like Big Brother psyop right there.
That's right.
It's always Big Brother, Ricky. Big Brother. Everything done in well intentions has Big Brother above it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is just interesting to consider, just like drones.
I just want him to put the seat down.
Exactly. So just like the science of drones, it was a science and technology that was niche for the military at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the science progressed, it found itself in the, regular market, and laymen could purchase. Now my uncle has 5 just, hovering outside the studio as we speak, just all day, just drones. It's like, we didn't expect regular citizens or anticipate what that would look like. And now the FAA and all these different, now we're creating new laws and trying to create a world that lives with this technology just socially in neighborhoods. What happens when this science just does exist? And, picture someone our age and that went to school with us that does have a science biology degree that could understand this science. They could start implementing it at home. I'm just going to build one of these at home, build it in my garage. Then once 15 years goes by and you can make it a handheld, now that there's a whole side market, then it becomes commercialized and now you can buy one. And I'm just like, do I look good in this dress? You look fine.
Am I a pretty girl? Am I a pretty girl?
Will you watch the Browns with me? No, they suck.
Yeah, you're sitting. We were born into this.
Yeah. So my wrapping thoughts are, my wrapping thought is going to be something that really doesn't curtail this, but was something I was thinking about driving home from work when they were talking about this whole generation of people becoming obsolete. If this is a spiritual realm where my spirit was able to just go into this organic matrix and be a piece of the universe experiencing itself, I really did pick the perfect time, to exist in the 90s. So 93 is when I'm born. And to have the 90s where internet doesn't really exist, it might, but it's definitely not just household commonplace. Dial up.
It's essentially a prototype. So.
Right. Wired phone lines. You have to experience boredom and you have to be creative enough to keep yourself entertained and create and imagine. Then I got to also ride the wave of technology and play games like backyard baseball, rudimentary, basic crap on a desktop computer. But as that transitions and I got to develop Word and learn Word in school, I perfectly rode a wave where I got to have regular, old-fashioned social and personal development, but also be at the tip of the spear of understanding with technology, to the point where a new technology can be enthralled in my lap. And 20 years ago, a 32-year-old would have been dog shit at trying to figure it out just off the get. Mm-hmm. But you could drop an Oculus in my lap, which is a technology I've never touched before, and I'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Any of these, and it's going to continue that way. So if this was a spiritual realm and I could pick any time, like, yeah, it'd be cool to go to a Roman Coliseum for a day.
I would hate to
but
live in that
oh
time.
my God.
Dude.
Right? I
I'm
was
with
even
you. I
thinking
agree with
about
this
think
statement.
about what they could get away with in
Bro,
1920.
it was nothing but stinky cheeks back there.
Stinky
Back then.
cheeks,
Dude,
bro.
it's been stinky
Everybody
cheeks for
was stinking,
2,000
dog.
years.
Yeah.
Now we got clean
It's-
cheeks,
it's-
shaved cheeks.
It's finally good now, and people are still trying to ruin it.
Exactly. So,
Imagine the odor back then, bro.
Oh my
No
God.
sewer system, nothing. That alone would have took me out.
Can I be honest? I'm going to be mean to a group of people here, but they don't have the internet, so they won't watch this anyway. Amish people smell awful. They smell awful. If you're going thin,
why are they taking strays? They're not even in this world.
well, they're not going to see this, so who cares? They can't defend themselves right now. But going off Ricky's point, stinky cheeks, dude. I was at a Wendy's like 2 months ago before vacation, and like we passed through Amish country for it. Group up here from the Rethink Wheel could smell them clear as day. I knew exactly where it was coming from. There was a weird waft from my right, and then there was Jebediah, Ezekiel, and the other disciples. It was driving me crazy. So I'm with you. The 90s, as a 90s kid with using technology and the internet, great era.
I agree with you. The 90s was great. Amish people stink. It all was one cohesive thought, I promise. When
I followed it perfectly. I
know
followed the trail.
I appreciate
No weird left turns there.
Someone did. One. But
I was a little lost with that
yeah,
trail.
anyway,
All right,
when,
Ezekiel.
when it comes to this technology and the time period we're in, we got to experience the old traditional world enough that it keeps us grounded, but we're going to get out of this thing before it really unravels. There's all these beliefs of like what space and time is, and Jesus is on the cross as we speak. Everything is happening all right now at one time. It's not linear like we think. It's one giant plane, and okay, but if that's the case, what's before us and what's after us seems so much like, boy, do I fear for my kids and my kids' kids, and will they even have kids, or will they be Chinese sacks that just organically make themselves? I don't know. But what I do know is, thank goodness, I won't be there to see it.
Mhm.
I'm just here to kind of sound the alarm. Ding, 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 ding. We are headed towards an iceberg. And I'm going to die before the Titanic crashes right into that bee. Good luck. But my ride was fun. I get that. We are literally walking into a Black Mirror, a Twilight Zone, a Transformers movie, The Terminator. This is a featured film, and I get to watch it and feel none of the pain. Sayonara and disappear. But I feel it because it'll be generational pain. Do you have any wrapping thoughts?
I'm just laughing at the generational pain. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I guess that is like a thought I've had about being. I always said, I really feel like I thought this one, like I saw the whole Taylor Swift like engagement thing. I was like, I feel like we're at the end of the empire here. I feel like we're really at the end of the empire. People are losing their minds over the dumbest things. And then you hear about these new sciences being developed, and I'm like, all right, these all seem to be pushing in a different direction, or have the possibility to do so, because we're lost. Our people are lost. I don't know if it was our generation or the generation after us. I don't think it was one before us. I think the 90s is kind of where it like started. Like because now we're adults. We're all adult people here. And I'm like with you. I think like we're kind of near the end of it. I don't know what the future has to become, but I don't fear for like the future of our kids and stuff though, because I mean, you just look back at the generations of like humans, and it's like we could, unless people start literally touching that button, or Skynet pushes that button, we're going to keep going. We're going to find ways to kind of work through these things and stuff like that. It's just, is it going to be similar to kind of how like we have free conscious and free will today, or is it going to be Wally world?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but by that point, won't care. Won't have an idea to happen.
By that time, I'll want the cheese. The magnet will be telling me I want the cheese. I'll eat the cheese.
Give me the cheese. There's Thursday Night Football on. You're going to leave me the hell alone. That's all I care about at that point. At that point, you got me. Don't care. Bring on the dancing lobsters. What's up with
Mark of the Beast comes with Cheetos.
Yeah. At that point, I'm gone. I don't care. I won't care. None of us will care.
Nope.
There'll be a switch to not
We'll
care.
be thrilled.
They'll be like, oh, he's starting to care. Doesn't. I'm good, dude. I don't care. Oh, I have a tea time tomorrow. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. Sign me up. It's done by that point. But now that I'm so conscious to be like, that's kind of weird. We could still do that.
Man, we will love the chum bucket and won't know that we shouldn't.
Oh, it's gonna be like that.
That's
It's gonna
fantastic.
be the chum. It's gonna be like the invisible food.
Yeah.
Zoom, zoom, and we're just still eating it because the Browns are on. They're down 17 in the fourth.
We're just gonna, it's literally gonna be a hologram meatloaf. And I'm just gonna, this is all Gaza's fault. They've been extinct for 1,000 years, but still just, it wouldn't be them. They'd be innocent.
Zoom,
It
free
would-
Palestine. Zoom. Like it's
No,
just gonna
no, you wouldn't be allowed. You wouldn't even know to say that. It'd be these people
No,
that
no,
haven't existed for
that would be
1,000
the-
years
oh
are
my
still
God.
evil.
Oh my god, that'd be the first chink in the armor where the big brothers would freak out. One drone would say that, be like, "What did he say?" He said, "What? Get in there now."
Wipe it.
Wipe
Wipe
it.
Wipe it.
Men in 6 guys with the Men in Black stick, induce a coma or something. We're off the rails, okay? We were talking about mice at first.
We still are.
Oh,
they're
Doug-
in the tunnels under New York. Doug,
Ooh.
wrapping thoughts?
I can't wait to see if they actually announce doing human experiments. You know, like what's
Yeah,
next
holy
step?
crap,
You know?
Doug.
They're gonna-
Doug really grounded the whole topic immediately. I'm just counting the clock and waiting until it's actually announced it's being used on us. That is a scary amount of time because it won't be long.
Do you think they're going to let us know that though? Like, do you think they're actively gonna
Legally,
be-
there's going to have to be a disclosure. The question is,
Is it
how
after
much
they've already-
how much do the Rockefellers own the broadcast studios for silent? Because remember,
That's what I mean,
we had a
yeah.
broadcast lady go, "Oh yeah, I had the Epstein thing dead to rights, the Clintons and everybody, and the network squashed it." It's like, how powerful will the broadcast be that once it's legally switched, all these groundlings are going to want to report it, and the networks will go off.
That'll be that's what I mean. It'll be the perfect time to be like, kickoff's at noon. You know what I mean?
No Lee Corso to throw a head on.
No.
Just sign up for football today. Don't even bink. You don't even need a mascot to get you there.
That's what I mean. But that's what I mean. When like Doug brings up like the human like experiments, it's just like, at what stage of the experiments are they going to be like, oh yeah, we're actually now experimenting on humans? The first test or like the 51st test when
Okay.
they've gotten through like a bunch of these before?
Thought experiment for the friends here. Do we believe Elon Musk sat there and waited for the government to go, okay, now you can put your
Dude, he
chip
doesn't
in a
sit
person?
and wait for anything.
That's what I'm saying. You think he sat there waiting? They were like, now you could put a chip in a person.
No.
He's like, listen.
He's
can-
the kind of guy that walked into the boardroom and be like, there's one in me right now.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
been there.
I'm literally picturing him sitting in Congress and he's like, please, this would be a great development for the people. And they're like, Mr. Musk, I don't know if we could. And the whole time his inner monologue is, I so badly want to tell you I got 50 of them in my basement.
Well, that took a weird turn. That took a really weird
Oh,
turn.
dude, he's got a whole army like iRobot. They all stand there. Hello, King Musk. We love you. AEXP Barvibe. And
Hello, Elon. And they look at his kids, say his computer name.
beep, boop, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop, bop. And the kid just
It's like
talks
that's-
back in that language.
It's like the freaking SpongeBob episode. No. That song that went beep, boo, boo, bop, boo, boo, bop.
Dude, this episode we totally swallow the crazy pills.
All
right.
Start off with experimental mice.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you ground us again, Alex? I tried, but you went off again.
Doug, actually, I think
Doug,
you did really
you
well.
took us off the rails with a strong point.
He took us off the rails with the grounded point. I don't think there's coming back. I don't think there's any way to land this plane. Ooh. That was a switch too.
All right, getting into our next topic here. We need to discuss.
Just moving on.
Let's talk healthcare. And no, don't roll your eyes. This one's important. The numbers are terrifying. Over 40% of American kids now have at least one chronic health issue. And here's the stat that reportedly stopped Trump cold in a White House briefing: autism rates. Just a few decades ago, it was 1 in 10,000 children. Today, it's 1 in 31. Trump's words: there's something wrong. It has to be artificially induced. Has to be. That's where the Maha Commission came in. They delivered their report in 98 days flat, and they didn't hold back. 4 root causes of America's health crisis: ultra-processed foods, environmental toxins, chronic stress and inactivity, and over-medicalization of children. Translation: our diets are trash, our environments are polluted, we're glued to the screens, and doctors are overprescribing kids like it's Halloween candy. So what's the plan? Three big strategies. Strategy 1: attack the food system. Trump approved waivers in states like Nebraska, Indiana, and Iowa to strip junk food from SNAP benefits. That's right. For the first time ever, food stamps aren't buying Little Debbie's. Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins even said this has never happened before under any administration. And at this point, what she was referring to were the signatures across the multiple party lines in these multiple states. Meanwhile, the FDA is phasing out 8 artificial dyes and cracking down on loopholes known as GRAS, G-R-A-S, the system that lets food companies rubber stamp their own additives as safe. And folks, the food industry is quietly panicking. Strategy 2, the pharmaceutical shock. On May 12th, Trump signed his most favored nation executive order, giving drug companies 30 days to match the lowest prices anywhere in the world, or face mandatory price cuts of up to 89%. His threat to Big Pharma: we pay the lowest country's rates, or we don't do business with those countries. The industry called it their nightmare scenario. And here's what most people missed: Trump isn't just strong-arming companies, he's threatening entire countries that give cheap drugs to their citizens while Americans foot the bill. Think about it. Europe pays $20 for a pill that Americans pay $240, and Big Pharma pockets the profit. Under Trump's system, everyone pays $130 across the board. Americans save, Europeans pay more, and Big Pharma still makes the same money. He's not destroying the industry, he's redistributing the burden globally. Strategy 3, institutional capture. Trump ended what he called the most serious conflicts of interest at the FDA, and now RFK Jr. is spearheading a government-wide assault on corporate influence in health agencies. The idea is simple: health decisions should be based on science, not industry lobbyists buying off regulators. Imagine now, here's the catch: unless Congress codifies these changes in the law, they're just Band-Aids on a broken system. And Congress, owned top to bottom by Big Pharma, big insurance, and healthcare lobbies. Doesn't matter if they've got an R or a D next to their name, they're all on the payroll. So yes, RFK Jr. is right. America's healthcare system is broken. Trump's trying to shock it back to life. But if we really want to fix it, step 1 might be cutting off the cash pipelines. No more insurance company kickbacks, no more pharma bribes, no more bought and paid for medicine. Because until that happens, the only thing truly universal about our healthcare system is the corruption. Have any thoughts on this new medical plan brought to us by Maha?
I mean, we're paying less. I understand Big Pharma and them are all getting the same money. I've got to be honest, I could care less if the Europeans are paying more.
Right.
Like, that's just personally me, because we foot the bill for everything. Now, I don't think this is fixing the health insurance industry. Like, I don't think it is at all. But at the same time, I don't think within 4 years we're completely able to erase and eradicate and redistribute and rebuild the American healthcare system. The problem is because Big Pharma's donors are in Congress receiving those big checks.
Well, that's exactly it. So, the crux of the point is you need to cut the pipeline off of cash that's fueling this whole thing.
And that's impossible. There's
Right.
no way they could do that. There's
I-
no way they would allow him to do that.
What's funny is on its surface, this will satisfy MAGA people because all we care about is seeing
We're paying less.
exactly.
We're paying less.
And what are we learning? The power and strength of big pharma. It's kind of like can't beat them, join them type of deal. He's not joining them, but it's kind of like
Mid-deal.
mixed martial arts where you're using their momentum against them. Where I understand I can't. If I fight the profit, I'm gonna lose. But if I fight to protect their profit in the benefit of our interest, well, then I might actually find some success. So Trump's trying to find a path that actually sees real effect.
Right.
But as you indicated, yes, on the short term, we may see real effect. But as we'll see in the next segment, more than anything, in a world of artificial inflation, if I'm paying 130 and Britain's paying 130, do I really care if in 2 years it's right back to 260?
Right.
So like the inflation's still going to happen. It's just now we're all paying the same as it goes up. Really, you want to fight, like dismantle the system and build it appropriately to where it isn't. I'm not satisfied because it's balanced. I'm satisfied because it's fair. I'm getting a cost that adequately matches what it costs them, and its price isn't outrageous. Whereas now a pill that is quite literally costing them dollars and they're selling it for hundreds of dollars, that's absurd. And that can only happen in a world where this mechanism is artificially inflated by insurance. Big pharma is able to manipulate the interest of our representatives because they can be bought and sold. This is an internal system problem.
And it's one of those things too. It's like, how do you fix that? Like, how do you dismantle that and rebuild it in like a timely manner to where like things don't go haywire, So it's like for what Trump's doing, it's like, yeah, he probably is fighting it. I wouldn't even say he's fighting. He's just trying to make a deal on a battle that's just sort of like, what can you do? Like, if you're him, like, what? Because we both know in 2-3 years, if there's a new administration, it's going to go probably back to what it was before he did this, So, but it's like the true crux of the issue is like, I don't expect any of these presidents to get in there and completely be able to dismantle the American health insurance industry and like completely rebuild it
Right.
immediately. Like, how do you implement that? How do you do that? And like these lobbyists that could make change, they're all bought off.
And how do they make change? They make change with money.
Right.
And so there is a quick fix, but it is the hardest fix because it's so effective.
Right.
And it's cutting money out of politics. The second money can't affect it, you've walled it off from the influence of the root of all evil, then it's just then you have an overnight system change that didn't require the system itself to implode.
And it's like for any of these presidents that want to completely dismantle it, the instant they try and have these conversations with these big pharma and they try to be like, let's not talk about money, they're gonna be like, there's no conversation to be had.
Dude,
There's
they
no
literally
reason.
walk them in, play a video of 6 different camera angles of Dallas in 1996, 1964, 63. Yeah, 1963. And they really quickly are like, it looks like there's nothing I could do. Jack up those prices.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like the sad thing. It's like, so when we always try to we always get pissed off at whatever administration's in there, but it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, how do you just walk in and be like, hey, big pharma, no more money? Big talk. I couldn't even expect like one of like a Musk with all the money he has to be able to fix this.
No,
You know what I mean?
I
Like
agree.
all that money he has, how will you fix just this country's healthcare system?
You don't.
And that's the crazy part of it all.
Without something drastic. So let me bring in Ricky here with the Pickle Gallery. Ricky, what are your thoughts?
I love that. I love the EBT. No junk food. Love that. Maybe people start cooking, but maybe their money just go to DoorDash. Um,
Preach.
for kids, especially for kids, you don't need kids junk food because I witnessed a lot of time parents just give their kids the car because they want to cook tonight, and they just go buy a bunch of chips, bunch of Arizonas, Slim Jims, and the whole bang. Ain't good, and their teeth be rotten by 13. I've seen a few like that. The pollution part, I don't know. They've been talking about pollution for years. I don't know. I don't know what a good solution is. And
I want to piggyback off of your point about the kids real quick. It is interesting that that's the trend. You know, parenting is getting lazier and lazier, throw an iPad in front of them, whatever. But you got to keep that consideration balanced with the fact that your kid's going to live in the real world. And so they need to develop muscles and coping mechanisms to deal with the real world. I wrestled at the earliest age was 4th grade. And what was crazy about starting, you know, a physical sport like that at such a young age is seeing how much younger there are other, like it goes even younger. I'm starting in 4th grade. There were literally kindergartners on our wrestling team, and it was absurd. You know, they were all in age groups, whatever. But then you had these like prodigy kids that were starting from infancy, and their dad was hyper obsessed with wrestling, and I'm going to build a superstar. And it's drilled into this kid. That's their only focus from inception. There was this kid, ironically named Ricky, very much lacking melanin, though. He was just a suburban Ricky. And this Ricky was not allowed to touch a McDonald's French fry. I remember being like 4th, 5th, 6th grade. No, you definitely don't. And I was always blown away by the fact that, like, here's this kid that's never had a McDonald's French fry. And I understand, like, yeah, it's for the better. Trust me. I wish I never had a McDonald's French fry. It'd be a lot easier to not
That's not true.
want one.
That's not true. You love that stuff.
That's why
I knew kids,
never had one.
parents
I
that made him
it.
vegetarian. The kid never had a choice. Not saying, you know.
Well,
and there's
so
still...
I bring up that case because now you think you're doing something good for the kid. And at the same time, he has built no callus to this. He's built no willpower to like balance when you can have a treat and when you need to say no. It's like a totalitarian all or nothing. Dad says no, so it doesn't exist. Same like, you know, I had a cousin that was never allowed. Her mom literally told her the F word was fudge. And growing up, I'd mess with her huge. I need extra fudge on my ice cream. And her world would break. And it's like, you shelter your kids so much that when they finally leave the nest, which they'll inevitably have to, you can't like keep them a caged bird for their entire life. At some point, they'll have to leave. They will not have built the coping mechanisms and the development strategies to live within the real world, this environment you've sheltered them from. And I think you're setting them up for further failure. Like, I agree with Ricky. You don't want a world where you just toss them cookies to shut them up. But at the same point, if they never have a cookie, you're opening the door to the potential of the day they go to college and they're 18 and they're on their own, or they get a job as a miner and they finally get to leave one who mines coal, and they leave and they can finally live on their own. Like, whether it's going to college or starting a career, once they're on their own, like, it's not all of them, but you're opening the door to an instinct that exacerbates the problem because they've never had exposure to it and they're filling a void. Like, if a kid watched every year all the kids go trick-or-treating and they never got Halloween candy, the second they have their own income and go into Walmart and can buy bags of their own candy in October, you might have a problem. So it's better, instead of like making it this treat thing or this special thing that they can't touch. Exposure is good with healthy coping mechanisms. What were you going to say, Rick?
I wasn't going to that extreme, but it also works on the other side. You keep feeding them junk, all they know is junk. That's all they
What?
grow up and feed on. You know what I mean? So,
Bam!
but for specifically with the EBT, I feel like there should be no junk food. If a parent want to get a kid junk food, come out of pocket. It should be healthy food,
Yeah.
maybe more cooking involved in the house and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I like it.
Well, and Ricky, doubling down on your point, it's real strong, because you're right. If that's all you got, then that really means that if that's all you have, that's all you live in, then that's the only world you know. And the sad part about these benefits, like the SNAP food benefits or whatever, you're already trying to stretch what little you have as far as you can. And guess what? Organic strawberries aren't going to do it as much as a roll of 20 ho-hos. That gets you 20 lunches. And then all I got to do is put together a ham sandwich, or, oh my God, a box of Uncrustables is cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Like, the problem is, the world we live in, the cheapest and most cost-effective are the worst for you. So the SNAP food benefit patron is most likely that extreme scenario Ricky presented. The person that's only living that type of lifestyle because it's what stretches the benefit the farthest.
Yeah.
It's a scary world we live in. What's up?
And that goes to the people that don't have access to nutritious food. Like, maybe they have to
Right.
take 2 buses and come back with 5 bags. You know, it's just a hassle and stuff like that. So
That's a great point too, dude.
yeah,
You're not even thinking
but
about that.
it's a good direction. As in, yo, if you can get strawberries at Aldi's, you can
Right.
get blueberries at Aldi's,
Yeah, I'm with Ricky.
and they're cost effective. You can get it at Family Dollar, but Family Dollar don't have that big variety of produce. Whereas you go to like a West Side Market or something, may cost more. And as you said,
And then, Ricky, another element to this too that we're forced to consider is that notorious hamster experiment that we've referenced plenty in the past, which is, we've learned for hamsters, if there's a lack of food, overpopulation, there's too many hamsters, not enough toys, not enough space, and there's 2 jugs of water, regular water and cocaine water, they will drink the cocaine water to death, because it's such a stressful environment and they long for it. But the second you give them a large cage with more than enough space, more than enough toys, no exhaustion of resources or feeling of overpopulation, the cocaine water sits there untouched. There's no drive to need to numb yourself or anything else. So I bring up that experiment because also applying it to the consideration of this population. These are the people that are dragging through a career hellscape more than most, right? Working multiple jobs. Ricky raised a point I wasn't even thinking about, taking 3 buses just to get from your place to the grocery store. Sometimes that life is so hard. Think about a coworker that just lived through a hellscape today, that you and I were enjoying a holiday weekend. Sometimes a Pepsi or like a brownie is just like that little bit that makes this hellscape just a little bit more livable, just like a little bit more palatable. And I think it's also important to remember that, like, maybe it's less budget and more like why people smoke cigarettes. It's because this is the one thing I got, and you're not taking it from me.
Yeah, but that's, again, it's something that's not good for you.
Right? It's a bad habit. It's a deadly habit.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps it in your lifestyle and
agree, yeah.
entices a person. Because here's the thing: what is causing a person that picks up a cigarette packet that literally, if you go to Canada, literally has a picture of a dead lung on it or a bleeding heart, and you're like, I'm still pulling out the cancer stick. It's like, what's driving the person to look death in the face and go, yep, still doing it? It's because this is the one thing I have. Like, I hate my job. I hate my life. Whatever. Like, I'm stuck in a hamster wheel I don't like, literally and figuratively. And the one thing that makes this cope, like, that allows me to cope with it, is this one vice, whatever that vice may be. And the sad part is, because it's not illegal, because it's being pushed by what used to be cigarette companies, but that bought up and now are all just processed food companies. Like, it's around us. It's so plentiful. It's legal. It's cheap. I don't need to do heroin. I can eat my feelings with a giant bowl of mac and cheese every night before I go to bed. Like, it's not as hard of a fix, so it doesn't feel like the same thing, but it's tapping into the same primal depravity that all these other drugs or vices would. So here's what's exciting. I made a joke in the first segment about, Michelle Obama wishing she had magnets to turn our brains off so we didn't want the unhealthy school lunches. But there has been so many administrations before us that have said this was a goal of theirs, and all you did was take away my cheese sticks as a lunch option. Yeah. Like, still had shitty lunches. You just took away the Bosco sticks, like the only good shitty lunch. I look at this and I go, is it solving the problem? No, problem's still there, but it's starting the conversation, and I'm seeing action where I only otherwise saw a charade.
It is funny you bring up the Michelle Obama thing in the school lunches, because that was a thought I had, like, when I was hearing it, and I was like, yeah, okay, I hear it, but the biggest pushback I do is, like, I was getting so sick and tired of seeing the TikToks where I would see these families just use their EBT cards and it was just junk food.
Oh my God.
It was just like, it was more food than I have in my entire apartment for myself. And I'm one person. I understand they're feeding a family, but it was all junk food.
Yep.
And for me, that's when I was like, there should be limits.
No,
that's what I'm saying. I was not hating, but I was hating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see the same video as well. I'm like, I'm not hating, but, like, come on now, man.
And the thing that blows my mind is it's so much food. It's not like, oh, okay, but it's not that much. It's like, it's 2 shopping carts full of food.
Wow.
Okay.
So I want to, there's this one girl that we know.
Yeah.
She flipped out on me on Facebook. And this was the last time I ever talked to this human being ever.
Okay.
And it was because there was a video of a couple of white crackheads at a Walmart, and they're using their EBT card to buy these fillets. Like, dude, just all this gourmet food. All right. So they've got this, like, because there was like 3 crackhead degenerates. So, like, they had like a real pumped up salary of government money, and they were just splurging. So it's all this gourmet food, and they check out, and this guy's behind them filming. Then the only male, the last crackhead, who was surely cracked out, proceeds to give her a couple $100, like $400 on lottery tickets. And the dude filming just lost his shit.
I would too.
I would too.
I feel like that's amazing. He's
like berating them the whole way to their car. And the one dude can barely, like, keep his head up. He's like, look at this dude. He's past. This dude does it. And he's like, you don't even know I'm here, do you? And he's like, and what is he using that? That's our money. He literally looks at their grocery cart and he goes, I paid for these steaks, damn it. I'm a taxpayer. These are my steaks. And he just starts taking steaks out of their grocery cart. They're like, you can't do that. He goes, then give me the lottery tickets. And they're like, no. He's like, then the steaks are mine, assholes. And this person was very upset that I just couldn't see the other side, how heartless I could be. And I'm like, this is a hill I'll die on. We can end it. We can end this here forever. Sayonara.
But that's like my thing. Like, that's why it's like, I don't mind this mandate to move away from that. Cause it's like, I see these videos and it's just like You don't need that many Eggo waffles, dude. You don't need that many Eggo waffles on top of the 2 shopping carts full of stuff you have. It's just ridiculous. But again, at the same time, I understand they are living a struggled life as well.
Boom.
They
That
shouldn't
the
be-
only comment I wanted to balance this with is the videos we have to acknowledge do not define.
Yeah,
the
no,
desperate.
it's not the entire population like that, but it's like when I see those videos, it does get an emotion out of me to where it's like, dude, sometimes I struggle to get groceries for myself and it's like all out of my pocket.
Well, dude, Will, my first thought is at least they're buying steaks and not like fucking gummy worms and Doritos
Right.
and ultra
Which
processed
again,
bullshit.
that's why
so-
mine isn't indicative of the point here.
Right.
Will's scenario is more the point where I'm watching you misuse this.
And this is a small, like you said, a small population of what this is.
But we have to acknowledge this is a universal system. So if you, yes, these are anomalies, but we need to acknowledge them so anomalies don't become the standard.
Well, it's like if one person's doing it, how do I not know every single one is?
Or if one person can,
Yes.
that's where your attention is needed, because then how long until others do?
And I like your point where it's like you make a mandate like this, it just starts the dialogue.
Yes.
Then it's like, all right, now let's have a conversation about what can be allowed, what amount can be
Dude,
allowed.
look at
such like
look at
that.
a Disney park.
Right.
And it's like none of you can use the steps anymore.
Oh, and these-
Maybe it's time we start having a national dialogue about how we spend our money on our
and
diet.
it's like the people that were in these videos, it's like these are like the big obese Disney people where it's like
Here's the funny thing.
shopping
You'll
carts full of
never
shit.
see a skinny person hate on this, because here's the sad part about a fat person that calls this their truth. It isn't your truth, because I can stick you in a room and feed you what I want to feed you and it would go away. So this isn't a truth, this is a choice. And when it comes to needing a skinny person to come to my defense, the skinny people real quickly like, yeah, you know what? For being gay or black or trans or whatever, I'll come to your defense. But this one I have to work for. Like even a liberal who is skinny has skin in the game because, yeah, wait, bitch, I wanted a cheeseburger today too.
Yeah.
I chose the salad. Like this isn't an easy decision for anybody.
Yeah.
Except the mice with the magnets. Besides them, everybody else, this is a hellscape. This is an exercise. And so literally and figuratively. So when I'm sweating and grinding and I'm taking the difficult choices and you get to sit there and just have no willpower, give in to every whim and try to play the victim, very quickly you lose all empathy from the people you need to defend you.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not upset about this mandate. I'm like,
No.
I think this is a necessary step to either get back to what it used to be, but like with limitations, or to just continue moving forward. This is how it's going to be. And if if the hoes and the Twinkies are sacrificed, I don't care. I got to buy my own. So I make that conscious choice all the time.
I agree. Let's get to our rapping thoughts. Ricky, do you have any rapping thoughts on this whole ordeal?
I like these moves. If you really want to make it real, make it executive orders and push them through. And you're right, cut money out of politics and it will trim a lot of the fat.
It's true. I mean, a theme that Will keeps picking up that I really do like is the very least this is starting a dialogue and something kind of bringing it full circle to how we started the conversation. Big pharma totally driving our politics, steering our statutes and legislation. On the flip side, you have insurance. This is what's promulgating these artificial and unreliable prices. You can only charge $1 million for a lung transplant because of insurance. Otherwise, it would have to be grounded by the regular market. So the beautiful thing is institutions and entities like Big Pharma, or more specifically, insurance companies, they've been able to dodge consideration in these dialogues for 100 years. And at the very least, it used to be foreign going to my boomer parents and being like, imagine a world without insurance. We should probably consider that. This is a problem. That was like a world-shattering cannot consider. And the more the president and the talking boxes continue to draw attention to this, it will force consideration. And I think that's where the change is going to be. So at the end of the day, the stats don't lie. America's healthcare system is sick, and the lobbyists are the disease. RFK Jr. and Trump are at least throwing punches at the right villains. Big food, big pharma, and the bureaucrats who sold their souls a long time ago. Whether this is actually sticks or a part of Congress, who knows? And we all know how that story usually goes. But for once, the conversation isn't about expanding the broken system. It's about tearing out the rot. And maybe that's the first real sign of hope we've had in a long time. Will, do you have any wrapping thoughts for us?
Well, it's funny when like you bring up the idea of like not just the idea, but like how like big pharma and like this administration is kind of pushing back on it, and it's like that was always RFK's thing. That's why I wanted to kind of get involved with this whole little administration, I guess they have going on. But it's like for Trump, I think Trump
Doug is peeing right now, by the way. That's why I'm on the camera still.
I think for Trump's biggest fight against it, truly, I think is like they're paying $20 and we're paying $220. Like that's, I think, why
that's absurd.
You know, but like when you say like they're throwing the big punches, that's why Trump wanted to throw the fight. I know why RFK Jr. did. It's because he truly believes like he doesn't like the dyes, he doesn't like the foods, he doesn't like the way the insurance is being run. He also doesn't like what the CIA did to his family. So like there's a multitude of things there, but it is kind of like a lightning in the bottle type situation. Because like you said, like we can't. It's hard to like bring up the idea of like getting rid of insurance to our parents. And now it's like with this administration, it's like, well, you can kind of bring that up a little bit. And there's not as much pushback because you're kind of seeing some evidence of like why this dialogue isn't a bad thing to have.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Doug, do you have any wrapping thoughts?
Did you shake?
I actually agree with the dice shit because like we're the only country that still allows some of those dies. But I don't know, like our healthcare system isn't that great. We like to think it's that great because we're America. Everything's great. Nah, our healthcare system really isn't. So I'm good with some change.
Profound.
We'll see how it works out, but I'm good with some change.
I'm good with some change. Give him some change.
Change.
This is what I have to work with.
You chose us.
I thought I did fine.
You did great. You ever notice how every time politicians reinvent something, they act like it's brand new? Trump wants to bring back the Department of War, not defense, not peacekeeping, war. At least he's dropping the branding and calling it what it is. That's the one honest thing he's done so far. But let's be real. This is the same guy who ran as the anti-war candidate. Remember that? The only saving grace of Trump, the only thing that kept his voters hanging on, was that he wasn't a Bush, a Cheney, a Clinton. He wasn't supposed to be a warmonger. He promised America first, no more foreign entanglements, and that within the first week, we'd be out of Ukraine. Well, look around. We're still writing checks to Kiev like they're our unemployed nephew who won't get off the couch. And what's worse, Trump went from I get bullied by no one to acting like the unofficial spokesperson for Boss Bibi. The man who is supposed to drain the swamp is now taking swimming lessons from it. America first, please. This administration has been America second at best. Half the time, it feels like America third, right behind the good dreidel people in the military-industrial complex. And let's not forget the Epstein fumble. Remember how he stood up in front of the world and promised transparency? We're going to release the names, drain the swamp, expose the corruption. His words, not mine. Then what happened? He told his voters, just move on. And then when they didn't, when they dared to keep asking questions, he gaslit them like they were the crazy ones. That's not leadership. That's betrayal. So now the guy who swore he was the outsider, the wrecking ball to the establishment, has become the poster child for selling war. Not even on our own behalf, but on the behalf of other countries' interests. Folks, that's not America first. That's not even America last. That's America as a middleman in somebody else's racket. And we're just sitting courtside to the whole show. So I want to ask, on its surface, what are your thoughts as Trump makes this declaration that we're no longer going to be calling it the Department of Defense, and we're going back to the 1940s when we officially got rid of it, and we're bringing back the Department of War?
Truthfully, I don't care. And here, funny enough, I actually had this thought too. The reason I don't care is it reminds me of two things. One, it reminds me of the Gulf of America thing. It reminds me of that all over again. Now, before I ask my second question, is the Department of Defense, that's now going to be called the Department of War again, is there any change to like the way the organization is run, or is it literally the same organization? He's just giving it the old
He
name.
just wants to change the name back to Department of War, which was its name before the whole reorganization of the military post World War
Right.
II.
So it ended right after World War II. Right?
1949.
There you go.
The only reason why I find it
Well,
funny-
actually 47, then modified in 49.
Okay, so the only reason why I find it funny is like I think it was like, okay, so it was called the Department of War right up until after World War II, which I think most people could at least admit that it was the Department of War was used for war, beneficial global conflicts,
Sure.
like global conflicts that needed involvement in.
Well,
Go ahead.
we
Dan.
weren't always at war. That was just the name for our
yeah,
department.
yeah,
back
it was just the
then.
name of the defense system. Yeah, but it's like we were involved in World War II for a good reason. Like it wasn't like we just got stuck our finger. So I'm thinking of like, all right, so we did the rebrand, right? Now we're the Department of Defense. And since the Department of Defense, I feel like we've only gotten our hands involved in stuff we don't need to be involved with,
Right.
i.e. Vietnam, you know, everything completely in the Middle East for like 20 to 30 years. You know, I guess the one you could get maybe kind of pass off is Korea.
Sure.
So now we're going back to the Department of War. So in my head, I'm thinking it was like, oh, are we going to actually like go away from getting involved with stuff now?
Maybe we'll go back to the good old days when we actually won stuff.
Not even just one stuff, but only got involved in conflicts
that we needed to be
that
in.
we needed to be involved with. Because it's like since like 47 and on till now, how many conflicts have we been involved with that it's been like completely unnecessary that we did it under the guise of democracy?
That is an important thought to keep in mind as far as how will this change the department and what would that mean. I want to hear the words of Trump and his head of the Department of Defense, so we could see like what is even the track of mind that they're applying here.
My sentence by saying the Department of Defense, to which you said that just doesn't sound right. So maybe next time we're here, my card will read Department of War. We'll see. But it's not, here's the thing, here's what people miss. It's not just about words. It's about the warrior ethos. It's about what the department is supposed to do. George Washington started the Department of War because he wanted us to win our wars. Our founders didn't want endless foreign entanglements. They didn't want endless contingencies and deployments. They wanted an empowered military that was, the handcuffs were taken off to fight to win.
So I find this to be drastically different than the Gulf of America because we're not talking about a body of water. We are literally talking about war. And so when the head of that department says, you know, this isn't about words, this is about the warrior ethos and what the department is supposed to do. An entire voter base voted for a guy who was supposed to be anti-war. And they're just telling us, stop naming it something else like we're supposed to be defending ourselves. Name it what we're here to do.
I don't think
And that is strike war.
I don't think he's saying it like we're here to strike war. I'm just saying like, but if we use this defense system, that's what it's for. But I don't think he's outwardly saying like, oh, we're trying to go to war.
Defense is different than war.
Can I
in
just
my
say
opinion.
my main
No,
War
okay.
could be an antidote to you defending yourself, but if your whole goal is defense, that's different than a department stricken on controlling, monitoring, forecasting, predicting war.
But isn't
And
that,
it's not to say that this isn't what that department does. We
Yeah,
know what
okay,
the
yeah.
Department of Defense has evolved into. But if anything, this is a concession of like, maybe I do want you to, if we're talking about words, like I would rather your focus be golf and not war. Right. And so like, it's totally different. A geographical location that really has no effect.
Oh, I thought you meant
And-
like actual golf.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
because drawing upon the Gulf of America, you versus it's the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Words have power. And so, like, this has lives tied to it. And the fact that we're talking about entities that have never put consideration of those lives over money. Hey, I appreciate you letting us call it for what you are. You're no longer a wolf in sheep's clothing. You just want us to call you a wolf,
But it's still the same thing.
but it's still the same thing.
So
in
I
many
don't see
respects.
I don't see why there's a huge freak out. For
Because
a
you don't
change
have
of
to
the name.
pretend to even be a sheep anymore. Now you are just a wolf eating shit.
Well, I'd rather be a wolf eating shit than a sheep acting like I'm not. But that's like, I hear your point and I agree. Like there is like that nuance to it, but it's like, I think the Department of Defense is like, the Department of Defense was what, in charge of Vietnam? They were in charge
then,
of
then I would say your logic was luckily bamboozled because you voted for a guy that was not going to be a wolf eating and was saying I was the pacifist sheep that dismantles all wars. And in fact, you were luckily surprised to have voted for a sheep that turned into a wolf. But I'm saying it matters because we were the ones that were tricked. The populace that voted for him were the ones that got bamboozled in this whole thing. We voted for a guy that said, I'm going to make your life better and I'm going to keep us out of wars. And he was, and he's like, the swamp, just get me in here and I'm going to drain it. And little did we know he was actually playing us in their favor. Just let the idiots think I'm on their side. The corn people and all these flyover states are going to get me in there. And then I'm going to do just like everybody before me, just like the notorious, like we talk all the time about how what makes Trump great is his quips, his one-liners, the things that make a debate memorable. An entire debate boiled down to one comment. His comment that is notorious 10 years later, Hillary Clinton, those donors that get away with beating the tax code, you let your donors do it, and I'm just taking advantage of the same thing. We all love that because he spit in the face of what represented the system to us. But then he goes and changes none of those tax codes, in fact, inflames them even more, and we thought he was on our side. No, the same people that he threw in Hillary Clinton's face, the donors that are escaping the tax code, he supported them just as much as Hillary did. So it's like we're getting the same wolf we did before. My problem is you quite literally sold yourself as a sheep, one of us. And I guess, you know what? It's a perfect metaphor because we are. That's what we are. We're sheeple. And we just follow the herd. And wherever the shepherds take us, we're happy to be. But that's why we opine to wolves, because they're tougher than us, the masses. But I don't know. I just feel like there's no getting beyond this this chokehold that they have us in. And I agree it's not changing the system. But I do fear that having to be tethered by the charade of defense put them at least on a leash. And now they get to just run war rampant.
I don't think it put them on a leash at all. I think they've been getting away with it for 60 years.
I think you're right.
That like, unfortunately, like
I think you're right. Now it's just even more in our
face. I agree with your
face.
sentiment. And it's like, I don't think your sentiment's wrong, but it's like, I don't think there was a leash there at all. I think if anything, they used that leash probably like worse than it just being called the defensive war. I think a defensive war, it's like, we know exactly what this is. Whereas it's like, you're not in Vietnam for democracy anymore. We all know this is a facade. We know this is a facade. We know you're not over in the Middle East for democracy. We know it's a facade. It's been a facade forever. But
you know what's crazy is at that time, they didn't, right? So like at the time we were in Vietnam, it was for democracy. At the time we were in Afghanistan, it was for democracy.
People
they
up top
started that way. Like
Yeah.
Vietnam actually started, but then very early on, the leaders realized we had no chance of winning and kept that private.
And then it went on for
and
like,
kept that private.
and then it went on
So
for like
again, we're
15
talking about the
years.
public who 100% thought it was for democracy.
Yeah.
So they called themselves the Department of Defense, and we blindly trusted them because they had our interests at heart. And when they were bombing innocent countries on our behalf, we believed that it was well intended. because it was under this guise. Like, because the veil is pulled up for you and I at 30 in 2025 isn't to say that it was the same case for our parents at 30. And so I think there is an importance to that charade, but to play devil's advocate to myself, it also may allow them to get away with more, that they're able to pretend that they're doing something under the veil of good, but truthfully, it's all ill-intended. At least now we know it for what it is. You are going to war and you're making us fund this agency that is for war. Something that I want to YouTube. This is for the freedom of information. This is a major political figure in the political realm breaking down the capital market for which we currently live within. So this is a timeline of going back to Nixon, how removing ourselves from the gold standard has tied us to this terrible economic system, and how it is completely, back to dog off its leash, allowed the military spending to be a blank check that they can write for whatever, whenever, and the only person footing the bill is us, the layman, and it comes under the guise of inflation. It's an incredible breakdown by Dave Smith.
Pretty sure it was the French, might have been the British too, but it was definitely the French. The French basically called our bluff, and they just went, okay, we'll take gold. You know, we got all these dollars. We'll take gold. We get an ounce for every $35 dollars that we have, and we have quite a lot. And that's when Nixon went, no. Like, no. He just basically defaulted in front of the entire world, and he said he's temporarily suspending the convertibility of dollars into gold. And they framed it as like, you know, the French are attacking the stability of the dollar. Really, all they were doing was calling us on our agreement. We owed it to them.
We're like, we got so much gold, bro.
So Pat Buchanan says, defending his boy, Richard Nixon, he goes, well, what were we going to do at that point? Let him clean us out of all of our gold and just not be the dominant power? But I think the retort to that is, yeah. Like, that's what you should have done, because the decision to go off of the gold standard essentially just said, well, now there's no more even pretend limits on government. You know, this is why Ron Paul, who, happy birthday to the greatest living American hero, just turned 90. But so essentially, right, that was the last restraint on government, is that at least even then, even under Bretton Woods when we're cheating, at least there's some feeling of like, well, don't cheat too bad. Because they could maybe try to, you know, like,
count the gold.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But after that, it was off to the race.
How crazy is it? The thing that I first learned from this, we'll continue here in a second, but the crazy takeaway was, does anybody here, maybe you picked up on it, did you guys know what caused us to leave the gold standard? Like, that they opened it up, and that was crazy, that all of our dollars were tied to gold. So like, other countries would invest in us and take our dollars because it was an equivalent tie to gold. And then finally, one country, the darn evil French, called us on our bluff and brought in a bunch of dollars, notes, and said, yeah, we want the gold. And here's Nixon's right-hand guy going, wait, what'd you want us to do? Cripple the country? We would have had to give them all our gold and we wouldn't be the world superpower anymore. It's like, yeah, but then you wouldn't be undermining your whole economic system, that at least it is transparent and accurate. Whereas now it's a Fugazi smoke and mirrors. Doug, you were going to say something before we continue.
Like during World War II, FDR actually put a limit on how much gold people could own, and you were supposed to turn over certain amounts, like, and people would bury their gold to try and hide it from the people, because he knew, like, hey, we're fighting a war. We got to get bonds. We got to have gold, because we were still on the gold standard back then. And so it kind of goes.
Are you saying that's
like,
a bad side to the gold standard?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like after World War II.
Wait, how is he able to do that? Just go steal people's gold?
Everyone was behind the war effort, though. You got to remember, it was a different time. People were rationing stuff back then. Like, you actually had ration cards if you wanted to go to the grocery store. Like, it was a different time. We would never stand for rationing in today's America.
You can't even ration EBT cards.
Yeah.
We can't even ration toilet paper when a pandemic hits.
Yeah.
No,
So, like, but then after World War II, we moved, like, we released some of those restrictions. People were able to buy as much gold as they want, have as much gold as they want. And then we, you know, so like then we ended up that probably is what started our push to off the gold. Like, to be honest, that was probably what's, and then they called our bluff because it's like, we actually don't have that much. We start letting people have as much as they want again.
It's a brilliant point.
And this is why Ron Paul ran for Congress. It was when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. And then he was like, this is going to lead to big government. This is going to be the era of big government. So he was going to run to try to stop that. And he was completely right. You know, this is what has really destroyed everything, is that there's just no, and it's a big part of the reason why I'm so angry about all these wars too, because it's all related. You know, the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, or the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law by Woodrow Wilson in 1913. And then in 1914, I think is when it actually got up and running. And in 1914 is when the income tax was passed, also signed into law by Woodrow Wilson. Ooh. And 3 years later is World War I. You know? Like 3 years later, or American entry into World War I. So it's like, this is the banking system and the tax system are very like interrelated with the warfare state. Like, you need this stuff in order to fight wars. And, you know, even just over the last 25 years, we've spent close to $10 trillion on wars, you know, and they didn't tax the American people for that. They know they couldn't tax us enough to pay. We would put an end to it. If they tried to raise everybody's taxes enough to come up with $10 trillion because we want to go fight regime change wars all over the Middle East, the American people would have been like, no, we're not doing that. But they didn't do that. They kept taxes where they were. I think they even cut some rates during those years, the top rates. And then they borrowed the rest, and they still couldn't borrow enough, so they just print the money. And then essentially what happens is that the price of everything just goes up and up and up. And you just put more money into the system, and then people start looking around and going like, geez, why is the price of housing and healthcare and energy and childcare totally unaffordable? And the answer is because you're paying for the war in Iraq. And nobody thinks about it like that. But that's really what's going on. They can't. So for all the young people who are coming out of college now, and they're like, I'm 150 grand in debt. I have a gender studies major degree or whatever, you know, maybe something better than that. But they got an English degree or something. And they're working at DoorDash. And the average house is going for 600 grand. And they're like, what am I possibly going to do? It's like the reason why these kids are all demanding socialism, at least on the left, is because, like, what else are you going to do? Like, how do you even... But the reason why that is the case is because your government decided to spend trillions of dollars on blowing up brown countries, and in some cases then rebuilding them to blow them up again.
Big change.
I mean, this is the actual cost of the thing. And I feel like it's... almost nobody outside of like the Ron Paul libertarians, the Austrian economics guys, almost nobody else ever makes this connection. That it's like, this is the deal. You can't be a world empire without having a central bank that can print money for you, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Resources are finite and you'll run out of them. And so you can't do that without having this monetary system. But the cost of this monetary system is that prices always go up and up and up and up. And that rigs the entire economy against the working class and the middle class in favor of the rich. It's just the way it is. When the value of assets is going up and up and up and up, that's great if you own stuff. That's great if you own stuff and you're selling it. If you got $1 billion in the bank, inflation is your best friend. But if you're on a fixed income or you're a working class person, it just destroys you. And everybody who's working class knows this just from living through the last 5 years. But, you know, your grocery prices go up 30%. That is... You know, that's you know, people have this idea that there's like economic issues over here, and then there's like social issues over here, or there's foreign policy over here, but it's all one thing. You know, the prices of groceries go up by 30% and families get destroyed. Men swallow pistols. Kids grow up without fathers. Like, that's the cost of this shit. And what we'll continue to live through as long as we have a government that it spends way beyond our means.
And so that's the world we live in is, yeah, you know, it's just a bunch of titles and names. It could be the Department of Fuzzy Teddy Bears. It doesn't change what they're doing. I completely agree with you. And that is a very strong point. But these considerations need to at least be seasoned with the overarching theme, as Dave suggested. It's all one thing. Your daily struggle, your undervalued at your job, the inflation, just our social pool, everything is impacted by these different mitigating factors. And if we ignore them, it may not be too much of a problem, but a lot of these little problems in conjunction with each other does create a large problem. And right now, this move to me on its surface, while yes, totally agree, it's just like changing your pronouns. Like you're still a dude. Like I'll call you Tina. You're still a dude. I agree. There's some truth to that. But also, it's got to be seasoned with that other side of the perspective of, well, if I get everybody calling me that, I'm just a little bit closer to a Tina. And now if I start wearing skirts, I'm just a little bit closer to a Tina. I'm much closer to a Tina than I am a Mark. And you just keep taking those steps. So it's like, it starts here, but where are we at? It starts here. What's here? Here is you're affecting my perception of your department to stop. It's not defense. Let me refocus you to what we're here to do, and it's war. I'm not going to deny I'm the same character that rests in solace and comfort, knowing that we have the highest spending military budget. Don't love that, but also I do love the big swinging stick that comes with it. Doug, what's the famous quote about the sticks in the woods?
Softly and carry a big stick.
Bingo. So
Yes. Teddy Roosevelt.
there we go. So I can't sit here and be completely wussified and be like, yeah, well, but no, I do like being the strongest in the playground. But at what cost? Like Dave said, if we take that to its furthest extent, it results in fathers swallowing barrels and families without members. It becomes a stressed world that this is a stepping stone. It could be a stepping stone towards, which to me, Golf of America is a stepping stone towards nothing more than a meme. Like that only leads to a meme. This could lead to a more war-driven department that snowballs into a bigger animal. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I just disagree. I think it's always been that, and now they're just calling it what it is. I think.
Wait. So we agree it's always been a monster. It's now just declaring itself more. I don't know how that doesn't snowball. It's not going to rein it in.
I just don't see it changing. I don't see it like, we're snowballing into more war.
The Cold War made the defense
what wars
industry
has Trump
too
gotten
big.
us in this election? Like what war? What boots on the ground situations?
Gaza. Something
we don't have boots on the ground there. It's the same as it was when it was still the defense in the last administration. That's what I mean. It's like nothing's changed, just the name. It hasn't we haven't overreached to that level. Now, if and when we do overreach to that level, I will fully be on your side.
What level is that?
Boots on the ground. Like when they had the whole issue when he bombed Iran, people were like, "Oh, this is World War III. We're going to put boots on the ground." We never did. Remember, there was like that week or two, people freaking out. That was the Department of Defense.
Sure.
Now it's just a new name. Now it's just, and he still could do that.
It's not even a new name, Will. It's an old name.
No, but again, it's a rebrand, whatever you want to call it. He's changed the name. That's why it's like I don't view it necessarily. I just think it's the same agency, just with a different name. It's the same exact agency, but I'm not saying because
that is exactly what it is.
But because he changed the name to war, I don't think it's snowballing into more war. I'm like, no, I think it's just going to be the same thing. We're just not guising it under, this is for democracy. It's like, no, we're here to win a war.
Sure. My response then would start with the same introduction to each sentence. I completely disagree as well, in that I believe if somebody looks at you and says, I am the most anti-war president there ever was.
Okay.
And if you vote for me, you just said we didn't increase any of those conflicts. I would disagree. I would say that we're spending more on all of the considered conflicts than we were when the Roomba was president. But here is a guy that literally told you not war. I am anti-war. And if you give me the keys to the kingdom, I'm going to turn off all of these in a week. And we all knew that wasn't realistic, but we're definitely not working towards any of their closure. All of them are going backwards.
I would disagree on the Ukraine issue, but I won't.
And
say
that's
again,
fine. I'm going to double
Gaza.
down. I agree with Dave Smith's whole breakdown on the Ukraine pill too. Yeah, we may be talking about the potential for talks, but if you go and read any of those negotiations, there's poison pills throughout all of them. There is not an actual intention for resolution, especially when you look at the track record of the world economy. They've literally been having world summits for the last 2 months with France and everywhere else. Ukraine is not slowing down. Go ahead, Doug.
You know why the defense market scheme, whatever, people wouldn't want peace is because we're just dumping all of our stuff there and we're getting real battlefield experience on all the weapons we use. Like, this is a testing ground for all of our weapons.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what we're
not our testing
finding?
ground.
Our super expensive high-end stuff ain't worth shit in a high-end fight. So you know what? We are actually learning some, but why do you think they don't want this to stop? Is because they're going to lose money once we stop
Exactly.
ordering
Well,
shit
so
from
that's
them.
where I come in with, okay, if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with the fact that you truly did hope. Maybe you didn't believe, but you definitely at least hoped that this would result in at least the slowdown of some of these wars, if not, like he promised, the actual end. And in fact, at the very, you don't even have to agree with me. There is no world where we're slowing down. We are at least maintaining, and I definitely believe increasing, but we're at the very least maintaining what was going on a year ago, 2 years ago. And when the guy says, I'm not war, and then goes, guess what? I'm no longer defense. I'm the Department of War. How do you not see the message?
Dude, proxy wars have been an ongoing thing since the Cold War. And you know why? Why would we really care about this one? We have no actual skin in this game.
That's the biggest
and
problem.
That's why it doesn't matter, really.
Why is that the
because
biggest problem?
we have no skin in the game.
Because
and
we have no skin in the game.
And that's what it
would
is.
you
Why
honestly
do-
have no skin, or would you prefer we have skin?
Well, why do we not
I'd rather
want
have
to?
skin. With
Why
my
do we
tax
not want to
dollars,
see?
I'd rather
You'd
have
rather have boots on the ground then?
no. I'd rather have half of my paycheck go to things that concern me.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
all right,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
so if Kim Jong Un starts declaring war against me as an American, we're coming after New Mexico, then you know what? I now have skin in the game against North Korea.
But let me throw a counter, because I don't quite disagree with you, because I am more on that side. We're kind of like nationalists in that sense, but it's like you have like the Middle East, like just think of that situation. You have them that say literally, we know with the gypsy people, we do not like them, we cannot stand them. But then the other side is saying death to America all the time. They live by that thing.
I agree.
That's getting the game. But again, it's a proxy war, like Doug said. We don't actually have boots on the ground, and as long as this Department of War doesn't actually put boots on the ground, our sons and daughters in that country, I don't care if you want to rename it. It's the same thing it was 3 years ago when Russia went into Ukraine and Gaza and sorry, probably shouldn't have said what they are, but like those two countries that have been doing this since the Crusades. They've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's never going to stop. We just hate that our skin in the game is literal just money, that you could see a dome from either side and be like, our money, going right at each other.
Right.
So,
And I voted for a guy that says, I'm not going to do this anymore.
But
Neither
Alex,
side, no missiles.
did you really think
And-
that was going to happen? Like, did you really think that was going to happen?
Are you going to say you didn't?
I completely didn't. The Crusades have been going on for hundreds of years.
And that's why my point when I said the statement was
That's a whole nother
you can lie to
conversation,
yourself
Will.
and say you didn't believe it,
I
but
thought
you
Ukraine
definitely
and Russia.
hoped.
I
You
thought
definitely
Ukraine-
had hope. You definitely had
I-
hope that
not
this
with
would,
those two. Not with those two. With Ukraine and Russia, yes. And I still have hope.
those
that
two weren't
conflict
as
will-
much on our radar then.
But like again, it was still on our radar. I had more hope that conflict would
yeah,
end.
it only exacerbated.
The
since then.
gypsy people and the other. That's never going to end. That's never going to end. And it's an unfortunate truth. I feel like that's an unfortunate truth.
You're going to say in October of last year, you did not even hope that he would bring the end of the Ukraine conflict.
I hope
you didn't believe it. That was
no.
boldly
I hope.
stated
I
here.
still hope he brings an end to the Ukraine conflict.
Sure.
That I
okay.
stand on. That one I completely stand on.
You didn't believe he would, but you at least hope. That I could.
No.
Be
I hoped he
satisfied
would.
with.
Like I hoped he would. But like the other conflict, it's like that's never going to end.
I will say you are not reflective of his voter base. You may have hoped but not believed he would have gotten out of Ukraine. I will say the majority of the corn huskers that voted for Trump did truly believe he was going to get out of Ukraine.
Right.
And That's our problem.
Yeah.
Is he's selling, he has reneged on everything he sold us on.
And he still
There
could get
is
us
no
out of that
Epstein
one,
list.
but it's like for the other one with the Gypsy, it's like that one's never going to end. That's
Right.
that's an unfortunate thing. What they're doing over there is horrendous. It's horrible. It's one of the greatest tragedies in human history. That's never going to end.
I guess let me make a better
I
metaphor.
couldn't even hope for that.
That's like
unfortunately.
if Trump just held a press conference and he says, "Hey, Patriot Act is bad. I know that you voted for me to get rid of the Patriot Act. What we're going to do is change the name of the Patriot Act to the Listening to You Harder Act." I'd sit there and go, that is surely not the direction I wanted this going. I wanted to go the other way.
Yeah.
So I guess the bigger spirit of my point isn't this now means he's going to turn into Kim Jong-un. It just means that the whole momentum and direction he was heading, or at least the narrative he sold us on, we are now going the exact opposite direction. We are no longer the defense country, the peace seekers, the negotiators. We're here for war. And it could still be the carry the biggest stick, like don't mess with us. The referee is back. But we were supposed to be dismantling this whole military industrial complex, which was a catchphrase he used in his first campaign in 2015, and that is totally dissolved.
Alex,
from his
real
lexicon.
quick. We all know the term too big to fail from the crisis, and all those auto dealers took all of our money and had no problem.
And Boeing during the pandemic.
And guess what? The industrial complex employs a lot of people in almost all 50 states. You think they're going to let that go? Why do you think it's spread throughout all 50 states? Yeah. Everybody's got a piece of the pie. It's
Except
too big
us.
to fail.
We're the fools. We just keep paying for pies. I've got no pie. No pie, but I've bought all the pies.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, again, this is something not indicative. I understand your frustrations with this administration. There's no way the Gaza-Israel thing was going to
Well, here, let me further play out the math of my logic. So you and I both agree all these things that we said were we've flushed out as a problem of the Defense Department or the Department of Defense. You have suggested that, well, that's always been there, and changing its name isn't going to change that fact. So that logic would also concede that changing the name, leaving the name, we would agree the department, its intentions or how it's operating is ill-motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
at the very least, then we should also agree that we don't want to fuel them in the direction they're already going. If we could already agree that they are an unbound war monster, we probably wouldn't want to strengthen that current.
But how do you stop it from strengthening? Going back to November and voting the other side?
Well, I would say in 41 you said, or 49?
1947, the National Security Act was signed, which created the Department of Defense as we know it and unified all the branches of the military.
So remind me, Doug, what was it, 43? World War II concludes? 44?
45.
Okay, so it only took 2 years after the conclusion of World War II,
because the Cold
which
War.
Was the entire world fighting. And, some of the worst atrocities invented by man. You've got nuclear bombs and Agent Orange and all these. This is
Agent Orange
was World War I. We know, Doug,
Vietnam.
but it exists. Okay. What was the one for
gas.
mustard gas? Okay. So I'm just trying to suggest you had all this evil war stricken across the. What's funny? I'm just, the bigger point is, even then, 2 years after everybody's warring, gas chambers, mass extinctions of human beings, we're like, hey, let's whether it's a rebrand or not, let's redirect our folk. Even though we were stealing everybody's gold, we were building hangars for the IX Center, just giant war hangars for civilians to build widgets and, gears for our militia equipment. We're going to put a halt on all of that and rebrand just for refocusing on defense. We don't need to promote Why was that a decision in 1947? And almost 100 years later, it's like, we're not even in any wars. It's like, we need to get back to that mindset. We need to get back to the biggest stick in the woods.
I mean, we weren't in any wars in 47 either when we came to defense.
Right.
But
No,
we were in the
that's
Cold,
why we
but we
did
were
it.
in the Cold War.
We were the Department
We
of
were
the,
completely
Well,
in the
no,
Cold War.
it's the name means nothing.
exactly.
They
Well,
named
that's
it
Will's
that
point.
way because they named it that way.
No, they named it the Department of War.
But
first,
the reason Department of Defense is what it is because for once, all our branches of the military were unified under one command. The Department of War was just a department that had loose command over all the different. This actually codified that they all answered to the DoD. That was just the name they chose. Like, they could have still stuck with Department of War. What changed, the only reason that law went into effect and the name even got changed was because they unified everything under one thing. So really, the name means nothing as long as the structure remains the same.
Let me be clear. That point cannot be conceded harder to you, Doug, or Will. The name doesn't change anything. But then honestly ask yourself, when you are, maybe it's because you guys haven't been in rooms where you consider policies that have to consider these ancillary things. I agree. Yes, they are ancillary. But somebody's coming up with the name, which means somebody is taking on these considerations, which is, okay, we're codifying, as Doug suggests, we're codifying all these different departments, one of which is the Department of War. And we're bringing in all of these other departments. And what is the shared unification of them all? Defense, right? So you probably have the what other departments may have been codified with that, Doug? I'm assuming like,
well, no, the National Security Act, I think, created the CIA as the CIA, created the DoD to have unified command over all the branches. It just pretty much solidified everything we had learned during World War II, that you need
so
a unified
they had a
command.
suggestion of different departments, or they had a collection of different departments. They could have chosen at that time we're going to remain with the Department of War. But clearly they decided to have a less hostile branding, using your word, but just projection of what the department is. And I do think that this is a sign of the times that if at the very least we can agree it isn't good, the sign of the times is this isn't heading towards better. This is at the very least maintaining the exact swamp I voted to drain. That's at least how we have fully exhausted.
Here, so
yes.
Real quick, Alex. So the National Security Act 1947 combined the former Department of War with the Navy Department into a unified national military establishment, but people didn't like that name, so then they changed the DoD in 1949. So, like, it wasn't even really
but
DoD
again, the way
right
it
after.
reads and its effect on the public and people is what is considered in these rooms. So somebody did throw out, why don't we just keep it the Department of War? There were conscious minds that steered away from that for whatever reasons. They could be ancillary, they could be moot, but there were reasons. And so I'm sitting here going, why do we revert back? If the department isn't changing and you aren't changing your attention, maybe this is the exact as the Gulf of America. And all it is a distraction from the fact that the swamp is staying status quo, if not only getting stronger. We added more alligators to our Alcatraz. We could try to close out the thought here. Ricky, we volleyed this quite a bit. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on it and maybe close out your thoughts with that as well.
I feel like y'all did great. I feel like y'all did it. Y'all flushed it all out, bro. There's nothing left in the toilet. But words have meaning, man. Maybe the next generation growing up here, the defense of war, and think we're always on the offense, and we grew up defense, Department of Defense, thinking, all right, we're the defender of the world. And y'all dig it out. Y'all said it all. I don't have nothing else to say, honestly.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. As far as my wrapping thought goes, I will concede that I agree with Will that I don't think this name changes anything as far as the clothes on the person. You didn't change the person. But if we can agree that the person is a problem, I think changing them into more hostile clothing definitely doesn't de-escalate the situation. I just want to double down on Trump's Department of Defense, soon to be Department of War's, the head chair. This is a warrior ethos. That isn't the language of a guy that's trying to be the samurai in a garden. That's the warrior who's looking for war. And he wants his department to reflect what the department is supposed to do. So based on his logic, I guess what that department is supposed to do is war. Now, I can't sit here and be, this hyperbolic, compartmentalized thinker. I have to acknowledge that I believe we need to have a strong military. We need to have somebody that helps referee the chaos of this world. But we've also shown that our government really isn't always the best referee. They have their own agendas, and the agendas serve the people second to whatever their needs are. And that's a dangerous thing. I think strengthening their ability to fight on our dime and on our behalf is the problem. Circling back to the great video that we got from the Joe Rogan Experience with Dave Smith, when you learn that leaving the gold standard only created this dilemma where military spending only continues to increase, but it only affects our inflation. Well, if Trump's going to sit here and pander to my heart, just leave it, Doug, please, just leave it. If you're going to pander to my heart that you need to vote for me because I know how hard the price of eggs are, but then you continue to go spend on, I have no skin in the game. You go to continue to spend on wars that have no effect on me personally, but continue to make my eggs more expensive. I'm not going to just be quiet about it. It's going to be a problem. And if you're going to sell yourself as the anti-war president, but continue to rebrand as war and further us in war, don't be surprised when you get the backlash. I will release the Epstein list and then gaslight us into saying, who wants it? Why would you want it? Let it go. Move on. You have reneged on everything you have promised us, and the people are pissed, and you're gaslighting them into believing it's their problem. But I want to give you the floor, your wrapping thoughts on this whole subject.
I don't got much to add. I don't think this name change means much of anything. I think everything's going to remain the same. And until people are actually boots on the ground, it's meaningless.
Sure. Doug, wrapping thoughts?
I think Department of War just sounds cool. I mean, everything we talked about, I don't want to brush all that off. I do, though, think it sounds cool. Not going to lie.
Hey, and we're here for cool. Who cares about lives? All right, let's get to our wheel of topics here. What? Okay. Doug, stay over there. You keep turning it off because you need to have the iPad on.
No, it froze after I turned the
I need
iPad
you
on.
to get comfortable with sacrificing the iPad. iPad's got to go.
Well, yeah.
If you can
You're
do
the one
that,
that keeps
spectacular.
wanting to do.
No, I don't. I've never once taken that position. So we're gonna keep this on, and once again, we're just waiting for the. There we go. Click it on over for us, Doug. So we're not zooming in because that's far from important. We're just happy that you can see us and that we're here. Wheel of topics. Where we talk. Thanks, Doug. I'm not doing the big. I've talked enough about Trump today. I'm not doing
It finally landed on it too.
Sorry, Gladiator. I'm not talking about the big, beautiful bill. I am trumped out. All right. We're going to close it out on the wiki hole. We need a little bit of an energy change here. Ricky, I'm bringing you in. It's going to take a team effort to try to guess who we have. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the game we play here on the Wheel of Topics occasionally, sometimes I'll manipulate it like our government manipulates elections. I just want a particular ending. I would have picked any of the other topics given us by people, but the big, beautiful bill. is not happening today.
But you haven't
What is it?
taken.
Just a discussion about what it
Dude,
is?
there's so many. Dude, the bill. There's so many layers to that bill that, like, to even talk about one of them would exhaust us.
What's funny is you have it double wide too, and it's the first
right,
time.
because I was
landed.
trying to do it like a month ago.
Yeah.
So as far as the game down the wiki hole goes, I have selected a public figure. Could be fictional, could be real, could be male, female, who knows. I have picked a common person that people should know, and I have clicked 5 pages away from them on a wiki page. So you pick, a word in there and follow it all the way 5 pages away. We are going to do each round where we start from the 5th page and slowly work our way back. And the guys in the studio and Ricky's help are going to try to figure out who the public figure is that we're talking about today. So starting off with our first page of the Down the Wiki Hole. Maybe it is just wiki. There it is, wiki hole. Okay, starting with number 1 here. Get off the Department of All right, we're starting with raisins. So we're going to go around, and you can either ask me one yes or no question to try to get a clue and get closer to who the person is, or you can take a guess at who the person is. So we're going to start with Will. The first one is raisins. Do you want to have a yes or no question or a guess?
Is it a guy or a girl? Or is it a boy?
It is a male. Doug, a yes or no question or a guess?
Well, my first thought is to ask, is this person famous? But that's too wide of an answer.
Ask them if they're alive or dead.
Ooh, good call. Is this person alive or dead?
No, just ask if they're alive.
Is this person alive?
They are. Yes.
All right.
Good question, Doug.
This person ain't old or dead.
Ricky,
All
yes or no
right.
question or a guess?
Is this person a musician?
Part of their career, yes. It is not their predominant
It's a hobby.
notoriety, but they definitely
They're that
are
famous.
somewhat
it's a
known of
hobby.
it. Yeah. All right, now we're going to the next wiki page. We're getting 1 page closer to our public figure here. Be sure to be taking guesses as well. You might be able to help Ricky and Doug and Will in the comments. We want to see if you might be able to guess it too. Now that we're 1 closer to the figure, we're looking at a vineyard. Vineyard. All right, so starting with Will, a yes or no question or a guess?
Is this person American?
Yes. I mean, are any of these people American?
I mean, like, is it? I guess how I meant to refer to that, but are they born in America?
I think so. I really do.
Can I Google who it is?
Yeah. Tell me is so and so. While we, I want to further confirm or deny. But Doug, yes or no question or a guess?
That would have been so
Oh
damn
my
funny if you
God.
just said the name.
This
Yeah, could you
one's
Google
hard.
this person?
Usually I don't even know where to go with raisins and vineyard, and it's a male and they're alive.
Born in New York.
Partly
So yes.
Born in New York. Okay. Does this person come from a famous family?
No.
Okay. all
Not a
right.
nepo.
Ricky, yes or no question or a guess?
Okay, born in New York, raisin, vineyard vines, male. Okay, are they black?
They are not. You know, they really like to jive with, the cool folk, but definitely far from one. All right, going to the next week. Ricky. His face.
What does it say?
Vignette. All right.
This is weird.
Yeah, hey, so we're going from raisin to vineyard to vignette. This is when Allison would go, ah! Like their favorite part of the 21 Pilots song. She likes the bird more than anything else. Yes. So a French loan would expressing a short and descriptive piece of writing. Yes or no question, or a guess?
Is this person younger than 40?
No.
Okay, it's an old motherfucker.
Might be. Doug, yes or no question, or a guess?
Oh God.
Straight bombs is within at least the right sector.
Is this person Caucasian?
Yes, which
Okay.
could potentially have been inferred by Ricky's question, but
Oh, I
there's
didn't hear
more than
Ricky's
two, so I'll
question.
give you that.
I didn't hear.
Ricky, yes or no?
Okay. So would you tell us if straight bombs is right?
But he's not, because Doug literally just
I just did that to really confirm that.
that it can't be Will Smith. You want to retell him what you?
I asked if the person was
Yeah,
Caucasian.
he's not black. He's not black. You're right. You're right. New York,
Neither is Will
hang
Smith,
with
though,
the
so I'll
black
give you that.
folks. Why?
Did this person smack Chris Rock?
He just started asking Will Smith questions. Is his wife bald?
Was he in Bad Boys 2?
Is he? If he wears a prince, would he be
If-
fresh?
This person walked down the street with any of us, like literally just automatically know where this person
in a
from.
heartbeat. As soon as you saw him, you'd go, "Yep, that's the guy. That's the one."
So he's a recognizable, not Nepo baby under over
The whole
40.
world would be following him down the street. Go ahead and ask me that.
No, I'm kidding, Will. It's up to you.
I'm not going to ask that.
That's the only
already been
guess I
asked.
have off the top of my head.
Doug, you should save it. You should use your
Doug, if
question
you
on it.
ask that fucking question. Doug, if you don't ask that question, that it's already been
Doug,
confirmed.
please tell me you're aware that that question has been asked.
Yes.
No, he's not.
No, he's
That was the
not. No, he's
boldest.
not.
That was the boldest lie he's ever done
No,
on
he's
this.
not.
Wait, hold on. We're back to Will. Now we got to get the next picture up.
Oh,
So now we're moving on from vignette to our final picture. You got one last round. Sketch comedy. This is one click away from the cat we're talking about.
sketch comedy.
Sketch comedy.
Oh,
God.
I think I know who it is. Is it Jerry Seinfeld?
It is not Jerry Seinfeld. You're in the right realm.
I thought he was gonna guess sketch.
Is it sketch? You're right, brother.
I thought he was gonna guess that. I would have laughed so hard.
In another life, was he a nanny who plays flutes? Yes.
All right. Now we're getting a little personal.
That's right, brother. Doug, he guessed Jerry Seinfeld. It's coming to you. Yes or no question or a guess. Come on, I'm shocked no one's getting this.
Dude, I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Comedy ain't my strong suit, sir.
I'm just trying
So
to think of what
then-
comedian is very into wine.
Could be. Well,
I mean, Will,
picture
you
where
know that
Vignette
better
came-
than
Vignette
me.
came from comedy,
You would know that better than me, though. I don't know.
Yeah, but
all
then
that many.
wasn't winery one of them? What was the?
but it came from Vignette.
Vineyard.
Vineyard came from Vignette. Raisins came from Vineyard, which came from Vignette, which came from sketch comedy. So Vineyard.
And
You
he's
got
out
to
of New
remember the
York.
first three pretty much
But he's
have
also
nothing
from
to do
New
with
York
this.
too, so I was like Seinfeld's from there too.
There's a lot of good,
A lot of people
I
from New
understand.
York.
a lot of
Name
good.
five.
I'm gonna refrain from my one clue. If I were to have said it the way I was about to say it, you probably would have guessed it. So, or you
I
definitely.
can't, I can't even think of a question though for like
Yeah,
to, like,
I
whittle
can't
down
even.
to like whittle down a comic.
What I would say is, it's not a comic. It is sketch comedy in New York. There's literally one thing doing that.
I don't
The
even know
thing.
that.
Not in L.A. Not
Oh,
in
okay.
Nashville.
All
It's
right.
in
I'll
fucking
ask.
New
I'll
York.
ask this then. I guess. I don't know. The only question I got to ask is
What
this:
is that?
was
Call me
this
Doug.
person on SNL?
Ooh, yes.
There we go.
That's what I was
Woo.
alluding to as the only sketch comedy in
Literally
New York.
the only reason I asked that question.
Which was a brilliant question.
That was your fucking question.
So, Ricky, this is your chance. You could save the day, and I got a
Is
hunch.
it Adam Sandler?
It is Adam
There you
Sandler.
go.
Thank you for being the last thinking man on the rethink
Thank you,
tape.
Ricky. Thank you so much, Ricky.
100%.
I know he does hang with some blacks.
How do you get like?
That's what I thought you would have liked it too. He's as close to it as
I
a
guess
guy gets.
musician. Yeah, musician would have been the good.
When
best
you said, "Is
key
he
for-
American?" I said, "I don't think any of them are American." And then I was like,
Doug, is this Saturday Night Live? Yeah, we got sketch comedy,
I
bro.
really tried spelling that out.
I didn't need that to be asked.
I
was like,
literally
all right,
had no other questions, so I was banking on Ricky
Dude,
knowing
the
who we
two
were
of
talking
you
about.
were volleying stand-up comics back and forth. Jerry Seinfeld.
SNL helped
in
me.
the
I don't
right
know
realm.
any comics.
Jerry-
so-
Wasn't
in
Jerry
the re-
Seinfeld on SNL?
But he wasn't a cast member.
But like
He
he was
definitely
right.
was on
But that's
SNL.
what I mean. It's
So I
like
said Jerry is on the right track.
so. Like it's like sketch comedy too. It's like I guess SNL is in the same vein, but it's like Sandler's stand up as well. It's like majority of those guys are. Like I'm not consciously thinking like, oh, this is a completely separate entity of comedy itself. It's like, no, they all do stand up. Majority of them do
I
stand
think
up.
Boeing Yang would disagree. I think a lot of the theater kids on SNL would disagree.
Yeah, but
I
they're
think
fucking
they could
dorks. No one cares. So, wow, I keep.
I
swearing
think
we're
they
live.
could transfer over, but sketch comedy is its own thing.
Yeah.
That's why when you two are debating
But you weren't-
stand-ups, it's like,
But
let
you
me
weren't
bring
going to
you back.
pick Boeing Yang. None of us would got that. Nobody
Right.
here would. I don't even know who that is.
no, I'm having a conversation about stand-up.
No, I get that.
Like you two were talking about stand-up comedians. I was trying to help liaison you back to the page, which was sketch comedy.
I would have never gotten Adam Sandler.
I know.
yeah, but I guess I might have.
I
but
mean, if golf
SNL
had
didn't-
come up, I probably would have gotten to Adam Sandler. But nope.
What's
no
funny
golf.
is we haven't played down the wiki hole in such a while. This was picked because we did Tiger Woods, and then Happy Gilmore 2 came out, and I was like, that was a great movie. We need to do Adam Sandler. And
this
that's
was
how
tough.
long this has been cooking.
This was tough.
Well, good. I'm glad. You guys asked the right question. Ricky is catching the strategy. Dead, alive, young, old, black, white. Do they believe in the state of... No, I don't know.
the state of.
Careful, sir.
I caught myself.
Dude, you could name anybody from New York then.
Yeah, it's just take a flashlight into the tunnels and you can
Because
just
I was also before I think Adam Sandler, before he said SNL, Doug, I was thinking Shane Gillis, but I don't know if Shane Gillis doing no music.
But Shane Gillis was
So-
never on SNL
Yes, he
besides
was. He
being a
famously got
host.
fired from
He
it.
Yeah,
Yes,
but he was
he-
never on.
You're
Was he?
actually
Was he?
retarded.
hosted
How do you-
SNL.
He hosted, but he was never actually a cast member. And
Okay, wait, that's
so-
a different
Facts.
word. Those are
How do you get fired
If we're
from
talking
somewhere-
SNL, I'm thinking cast member,
Okay.
not a host. Because you know how many people have
How do you get
hosted?
fired from something if you don't work there?
There's 100 people who have hosted.
The major takeaway from today's episode, a through line through all the segments, is words matter. They matter. And you should take that away from this episode so you can self-implement. And if there's anything you take away, hopefully it's that you should just start using the word gypsy. It's a lot more fun and you won't get in trouble.
It is a fun word. I'll give you that.
Always is. All right, Ricky,
The
please say
gypsy community might rob your house.
Jesus, dude.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. All right, Ricky, tell the folks where they could find you, please.
Just another day TV. We outside.
I like the hat. It looks good on you. All right, guys, we appreciate you joining us. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. The whole purpose of these live shows is to get you involved. So be sure to jump into the comments. We appreciate everybody that added a little extra dynamic to today's show and threw their thoughts in. Really helps us develop our considerations. But if we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best thing you could do to support this show is share this episode. If you liked it, then someone else you know will too. And clearly, we're at a war or a defense against algorithms here. And the best thing you could do to help us in that battle or defense is by sharing this episode, hitting the likes, and doing what you do. But like I had suggested, we're here each week, and we also do a Sunday's reaction show on a different channel. We have our podcast that comes out on Thursdays, and a whole bunch of different other programs you could look forward to. If you're looking for one central place where you could find all of that, that's at our website at www.rethinkthinkpodcast.com. Now, there may be times where we click over to the wheel of topics, and I might click off of it. That's rare. It's only because we talked about Trump all day today, and I needed a break. But if you want to, so Gladiator, you're not going off. We're going to have you as a topic sometime soon, hopefully, just not tonight. But if you want to see yourself featured at the end of one of our episodes, or if you have topics or ideas that you'd like to see us engage with, the best thing you could do is head over to our website, become a member of the Neuro Gym for free, and just drop your ideas there. We love the video submissions more than anything, but any source of involvement, we'd like to hear from you, and that's how you can correspond with us directly. So be sure to head on over there. Otherwise, though, guys, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.